Graphtec Tuss Nut, one volume, one tone, get the fuck on with it. Gentlemen of culture, we meet again. And women. And everything in between. This week on the channel we have my latest eBay impulse acquisition that we're going to do a full rundown of, review in terms of specs, build quality, sounds and tones. Just something to note on the tone front, some of the feedback and some of the comments I've had on the videos for the most part has been completely phenomenal, very kind and very supportive, so thank you very much for that. Something that has been mentioned though is a lot of people fucking moaning that usually when I do tones on a guitar I go through one of my modelers, be it the Headrush pedal board that I have or the Line 6 Helix rack. So I have pulled out all the stops for you this week. I have brought my Peavey Ultra Plus head from 1996 out of storage, dusted it all off, prayed to the amp gods, plugged it in, and somehow it hasn't blown up and has sounded as phenomenal as I remember it sounding when I gigged with it all the way back in 2007 would have been the last time. Not only that, but we are going to be running it through my Zilla Custom 2x12 cabinet, all the way from the fine folks down at Zilla in Cornwall, England, loaded with two vintage 30 speakers for that proper old school sound. I am also running my Line 6 Helix rack. Don't worry, amp enthusiasts. It's purely set up with the 4-cable method, so I'm using it just for drives and compressors and a couple of time-based effects in the effects loop, reverb delay, that kind of jazz. So let's take a look at the instrument we've got this week. It is another Solar. However, this Solar is very different from the ones I've had on the channel so far. This is the Solar E1.6. This particular one is the Jensen signature model configuration. Very, very straightforward, no fucking around, meat and potatoes rhythm guitar specs, this bad boy. So we have the classic EMG 8185 pickup set, swamp ash body, set through neck, a stop tail bridge, an ebony fretboard, locker machine heads, Graphtec Tuss Nut, one volume, one tone, get the fuck on with it type of arrangement. This, I mean, this configuration alone, the EMG 81, the stop tail bridge, the set through neck, that's a set of appointments that has been used to create riffs and blow people's heads off since before I even existed. This really is your proper meat and potatoes, straightforward rhythm guitar player's guitar. And I must say, it really just riffs itself, this thing. You know, when I play it in a minute, hopefully you'll see that principally as a rhythm guitar player, this is something that I really kind of vibe with. And I happen to also own the 7-string version of this guitar, and same deal pretty much. My only gripe with that guitar is the weight is just fucking too much, man. We call it the spine buster in my house. There's a review of it on the channel. Go ahead and check it out and you can hear me moan all over again and sound like a granny about how heavy it is and how I can't rehearse with it for too long. That problem does not carry over to this guitar. Being swamp ash and being thinner, I've noticed, it's a really good weight. It's got some substance to it, but it's not taking the piss. You could gig with this, you could rehearse with this for a good hour or two and you would be fine. I think they've achieved a very, very good balance between aesthetics, playability, comfort and weight here. Solar generally I find are fantastic for playability, certainly neck profiles, most of the body shapes. I do have a small reservation ergonomically about their E-types where they have just a fucking really sharp edge on the back there. So when you're playing sat down and you're digging it in, you just get fucking, I got a bruised tit a few weeks ago doing a video shoot with the 7-string because you know, you do 800 takes and you're fucking like riffing hard, digging in, and fucking the next day I was like, oh fuck me, what was that? This kind of has the same issue. However, that aside, the body shape's really nice. The rolled edges are lovely to play, very, very comfortable. The neck profile is probably, I would say, somewhere between a Schecter and an Ibanez in terms of that C shape. Most guitar neck companies, when they say like it's an ultra thin C, I find it's never as thin as they sort of make out. The only people I find who actually give you a guitar neck as thin as they claim is Ibanez and Legator. However, this neck is awesome, really great profile. The 24.75 inch scale length is a little bit strange, I'll be honest. This guitar feels like it's all body and some neck added on a little bit. I don't know, it's something about, I'm just used to 25.5, always have been, regardless of six string tuning, whether I'm in standard, drop C sharp, dadgad, I always use 25.5, and so sure, like the neck on this does feel a little bit toyish and a little bit strange. It'll take some getting used to. However, you know, what you lose in string tension, you kind of gain in playability and being able to do, you know, 6 fret stretches and all that kind of crazy stuff. One thing that's really cool about this guitar is the fret markers. Not sure what the kind of thinking was behind this, whether it is a form over function thing and it's purely there because it looks the business, which it does. But I certainly find that the fact that the design on the front continues over onto the side, I think this is better than lumen lace, personally. I might be being controversial when I say that, but you know, lumen lace you have to charge, and the brightness of the dots fades over, you know, 30-40 minutes, and you know, on dark stages you should still be able to see it. However, this is like really bright. The kind of chevrons, or I don't know what you would call it, you know, the white kind of stripes on the side, they're pearloid, and not only are they really, really bright and sharp, well in darkness, but they actually reflect the light really well as well, because of what they're made out of, which is like, you kind of look at it and it's one of those things where you go like, why has nobody done this before? It's like a really good idea. So great, and you know, aesthetically it's something that gives the guitar a really kind of unique quality, and certainly makes you stand out, you know, if you're playing this on stage or anything like that. I'm a big believer in, if you are not keen on a set of pickups, to try them in multiple guitars, because I mean, tone wood does make a difference. You know, what is the job of a pickup? The job of a pickup is to capture the vibrations of the string and turn it into an electrical signal to go into an amp. Now, that aside, what's the biggest determinant of how those strings vibrate? Well, it's what they're attached to, the bridge, the wood, the nut, the strings itself. There's so many variables, and you know, certainly I'm not the biggest fan of EMG 81s, I'll be honest. I find that they can be like, I heard an audio engineer once describe the EMG 81 as like an ice pick going into your eardrum, which I thought was great. What a great way of putting it. I don't think it's quite that harsh, but certainly I have played guitars where I've been like, yeah, this is just, this is kind of irritating. This is really like, there's a lot of high mid frequencies in there. Anyway, super compressed, super chuggy. In this guitar, I think it's just the perfect metal rhythm pickup sound. So let's get this running through the Peavey setup. As I mentioned at the start of the video, the setup I have is the Peavey Ultra Plus 120 watt all tube head. We are currently on the Crunch channel. I'm using my Line 6 Helix rack with the 4 cable method to supply drives, compressors into the front of the amp. Then in the effects loop, we have some modulation and noise gate, nothing too fancy. Zilla 2x12 vintage 30 speakers, and we're miking up with just the good old Shure SM57, slightly off axis. We've also got the dB Meter Pro running on the iPad, so you can see tinnitus occurring in real time. Just like all the frequencies you want as a metal rhythm guitar player, but like none of the frequencies you don't want. That's how I would describe what this guitar has given me through this amp. Fuck's sake. It's just such a tightly focused, compressed fucking sound. It's like somebody like drop kicking you in the chest at this volume. It's just, you know, yeah, I get what people say about the EMG 81 being like kind of a one-trick pony, and sure, I don't think you're wrong, but what a trick it is. Clean tones? Nah, not really. Not really. I mean, you can, like... just a bit like anemic sounding, like the 85s. Very kind of like, yeah, just lacking something. You know, it can be made to work for highly distorted lead guitar sounds, which are completely not my bag, by the way. But, you know, I don't know, like, I just feel like this is just like a proper meat and potatoes, as I said before, rhythm-focused instrument. And you know, if you're playing metal, you're not going to be playing clean most of the time. Let's put it that way. So, you know, let's have a conversation around build quality. It's a bit of a controversial topic at the moment with solar guitars. Certainly, if you you look back on kind of all the solar reviews I've done on this channel, which is, oh God knows, there's got to be 5, I think, at this point, maybe 5 or 6 with this one. I don't know, but it's a few. And, you know, they've all been 2019, 2020 serial numbers, so like fairly recent. It's not been great. It's certainly not been good enough for the prices they are asking for these guitars. I don't believe that it's one of those things where people say guitars made in Indonesia are shit, because I've played loads of guitars made in Indonesia that are fucking amazing, often for way less money. Check out the review of the Quartz KX300 on my channel. That guitar is like 400 quid and it's like phenomenal. Not a single issue with the build quality on that guitar. If you would like to familiarize yourself with the current issues with Solar's build quality, which, to be honest, I would suggest that you should do if you're thinking about buying one. There's a fantastic video done by a YouTuber called Luis, it's either Luis or Louis Torres. I'll apologize in advance if I've got his name wrong. But he's done a very, very good video, coming from a really kind of fair and positive place, not trolling, not fucking hating, just saying like, look, here are all the issues that people are experiencing with solar guitars. Do something about it, please. So I will link his video in the description below. I will put a link to it there. Anyway, regarding this particular instrument, one thing that I'm very pleased about is this is the first solar that I've had in on the channel with no issues with the frets whatsoever. Very, very refreshing. Because, you know, if you go back through my other solar reviews, there's always something. Paint residue, the slots of the frets poking out of the guitar, fret sprouting effectively, sharp fret ends. Yeah, man, it's not been the best. I've not really had an instrument that's been unplayable. More an instrument that has been, most of them have been like cosmetically disappointing. That's how I would say it. This thing, perfect. Very impressed. This is also a 2020 serial number, so this is a child of COVID, this guitar. One thing this solar has come with that none of my others have, that I'm very dubious about, is this. Can we see that there? I'll try and crop in as much as I can. A QC passed sticker, and it says QC passed by WY. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 solars in this room with me now, all 2019, all 2020 serial number, and not a single one has a QC sticker on it apart from this one, randomly. So what's the deal there? Is this a new thing? Was this something they did for Chinese New Year, or I don't know, but it seems to have done this guitar some good, I'll say that much. No issues with the frets, like I said. No issues with the nut. It's level, it's not sharp. Switch gear seems solid. It's got that same kind of, not the best toggle switch, but it's okay. Finish issues, I don't see any. I mean, I bought this guitar used off eBay, like I said, but it was from the original owner, and at the time of doing this video, looking at when it came out of the factory, it can't be more than 9 months old. There is one issue though that we do need to talk about. This isn't me fucking moaning, I promise, okay? I don't go out looking for things to be pissed off about, at least not anymore. I did enough of that when I was a younger man, and it's not worth the energy, trust me. But Solar's open pore finishes have issues with durability. They chip fucking really easily. I have a V1.6 Artist, which is the same finish as this. It's like a black open pore. And a couple of times I've lifted it out of the stand to play it, touched it on this table, just gone along there, and a flake of paint has flown off. And I'm like, for fuck's sake. And I can see on this guitar that exactly the same thing has happened. It is exactly the same one here as it is on the V, where like round like discs of paint like flake off, they lift off. It's not that you're chipping it and taking that chunk out when it impacts whatever you're hitting it on. It's that some sort of friction or abrasion hits the paint and an entire section of the paint just lifts off. I don't know, you know, in the interest of being fair, you know, I don't know if this is an issue particular to Solar or if this is an issue inherent with open pore finishes where you're trying to get the wood grain to show through, but you're also trying to get the paint to set, to look good, and to be thick enough that it doesn't sort of flake off too easily, but thin enough so you can still see the wood grain. It's a tricky one. You know, I've certainly seen on the Solar Guitars user group that people kind of more in the know about guitar manufacturing than I am seem to suggest that it's an issue with the lacquer they're using, in that it's not durable enough or there's not enough coats. But I've been sort of led to understand that the issue with durability with these finishes lies within the lacquer. So I would say that if you're planning to get any open pore guitar from Solar, possibly even from any other brand, it's something to be aware of, because if you're going to be gigging with this guitar, then yeah, it's gonna get some war wounds pretty quickly. You know, like I said, I've got some war wounds on my V just from playing it in ear and rehearsing with it once. Anyway, just something to be aware of. It does look fantastic. You know, the grain obviously can vary between models. The grain is nowhere near as pretty looking as it is on here. You know, when it's done right, an open pore black or any coloured finish does look really classy. It does look nice. So that is the end of this roundup on the Solar E1.6. Let me know what you guys think of this new camera setup and this slightly tweaked format of Guitar Talk, which is what I used to call this. Also let me know what you think of the new setup for getting tones. I'm hoping that the kind of hybrid tube amp head, 2x12 cab with V30s, but with some digital modeling still in there, is gonna not piss off the really sensitive amp people who you have to walk on eggshells around. But I also hope it, at the same time, it's gonna show that we are embracing the future and we're not afraid to use digital modeling on this channel. So let me know what you think of that. Thanks so much for watching once again. If you liked or enjoyed this video, think about chucking me a subscribe, because it encourages me and helps me to make more videos like this. And ultimately I get more time to sit here, enjoy playing these guitars, chatting shit about them and interacting with you guys, which is currently one of my favourite hobbies. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you next time.